It's the 2nd of October today and it's very windy. So I thought instead of riding out in the wind, I would do some practicing with Farouk on the lunge in the menage. A lot of people think that lunging has no benefit whatsoever, but I can't understand why they think this. We're not just whizzing a horse round on the end of a line. This has such huge benefits. I'll try and explain as I go along why I think lunging is so important. As with all things, use it or lose it. You must practice, and we haven't practiced this for a little while, so he's a bit rusty. However, he hasn't completely forgotten. Crossing the flag over means turn direction. He hasn't forgotten. However, he's supposed to stay in the same gait, so I'm asking him to walk, which is proving a little difficult in this wind. To help reinforce the voice, I move slower on my circle and I jiggle the lunge line. Eventually he walks. So now I ask for walk to canter. A few steps of trot and away he goes. A lot of people ask me, why do you ask your horse to put his head down? And it's purely because I want him to develop the correct muscles over his back. I don't want him to be hollow when I ride. I'm asking for change of direction. I change the flag and he changes direction and stays in the same gait. However, you'll notice he is cantering disunited, so he brings himself into trot and then carries on in the canter correctly. Farouk knew he had to change the lead. I didn't ask him. Farouk has remembered that I like everything head down on the lunge and in hand, and he, even here in the canter, is managing to do it. Not all the time, but he is trying. As you know, my hand signal for the whoa is hands straight up in the air. That means whoa and come in. For some reason, Farouk doesn't want his nose touching today. He likes his nose touching normally, so I just carry on a bit with the nose, and then later I just switch to patting him on the neck. Farouk's reward is standing still after he's done his cantering and talking to him because he likes that, and he likes his good boys. We're not having any treats today. I'm asking for the leg yield. A leg yield, the head is not facing the way they're going, but I do want him to put his head down as much as he can. You'll all know that I think the backup is one of the most important exercises, and to do it correctly, the horse wants to have his head low and he doesn't want to rush his backup, and the steps want to be even. He's a little bit crooked, even though I am using the fence to help him. You'll notice Ike has been watching to make sure that I am positioning my body correctly to help Farouk. Another great suppling exercise on the ground is turning on the forehand, and what I look for is the hind leg to cross over nicely and the front feet to move independently, not skew round and not travel on a too big a circle. A turn on the forehand is a little bit more complicated because you don't want the horse to come forward, you want him to take his outside leg across his inside leg, and his hind legs should move up and down, not skew round, but not travel in too big a circle. And you want the head and neck low. Here's a great shot of Farouk with his head down. He's not pulling on the lunge, he's crossing nicely at the back, not travelling too far forward at the front, in a nice circle. Excellent. Well done, Farouk. You'll notice Farouk away with the fairies, not listening at all, completely. What? Oh, yes. So you have to give him a chance to come back to you before you start. As you can see, Farouk's not doing very well on this side, but you still pat him and tell him he's a good boy because he has tried. Another thing I think is important when lunging is not to have the lunge line tight. There should be plenty of slack so that the horse gets a sense of freedom, which will help you if you want to do liberty work because you've already started it on the lunge line. Farouk does find cantering on the lunge line with his head down extremely difficult because he's an Arab. Arabs do not canter with their head down when they're at liberty. Personally, I try to use the whip as little as possible. I try to keep it behind me and do everything on the voice as much as I can, and only bring the whip into play if I need to change direction or I need to add more to my voice and body language. Farouk makes a mistake here. He's come in when I haven't asked him to come in by putting my hand up or whoa. So I decide to send him on, which in hindsight is the wrong thing to do. Because you can see in his little face and his demeanour that he's disappointed that I haven't told him he's a good boy.
Well done. That's it. Good boy. Good boy. That'll do. Very good. Just forgotten canter to walk, but that's all right. Practice that another day, won't we? You did very well. Oh, no, I forgot, didn't I? No. We need to practice the back up, don't we? Sorry about that. Whoa. Good boy. Come. Good. Stand and back. back, back.
Given Farouk's spooky nature, he's doing very well going down a noisy wooden ramp backwards.
Back, 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 step down, back.
Notice around here. I've made sure that Farouk did his utmost best.
Ike's having a final look round the menage to make sure that all is well and that there's no intruders before he goes back in the house. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, don't forget a thumbs up, please, and a comment or an emoji. We do love to read your comments. I am sorry that we can't reply to everyone, but we do read them all. TTFN.